Hey everyone, welcome back to Creator Crypto. I'm your host, Matt. This week's going to be the first video in a series to discuss US regulation of the cryptocurrency market. We're going to talk about why it seems to be taking so long, why that's likely to continue, and some of the unique challenges that distributed ledger technology presents. But before we do that, remember, if you like the video, please smash the like button, hit subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments section below. All right, so many people feel like it's the Wild West out there, and that there's now a real need for clear and transparent rules in order for the market to really flourish. And although we've seen them start to dip their toes in, institutional investors and companies are going to remain hesitant to truly embrace crypto technology without that regulatory certainty. Recently, we've started to see responses from governments across the globe, including a complete ban in China and a full embrace in El Salvador. So what's the position of the US government? Broadly speaking, US agencies have recently indicated a recognition of the potential of the technology and a desire to avoid stifling innovation. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, said recently that there's no plans to ban cryptocurrencies. Similarly, Gary Gensler, chairman of the SEC, said much of the same thing when adding that any ban would need to come from Congress in his view. And just this week, we saw the first Bitcoin futures ETF begin trading. Now, this is all really good news. However, some industry participants have expressed frustration at the seemingly contradictory stances taken at times and a general lack of clarity. In addition, these agencies exist to protect consumers and investors and to ensure transparency and fairness in the markets. This is where the unique challenges presented by blockchain technology become evident, and why existing regulatory frameworks may become obsolete. When trying to understand the challenge presented to these regulators, it's helpful to look at the internet, how it's evolved, and where it's going.
As the internet came online and things started to take off, companies now had a virtual location where they could engage customers, post content and information. But that's really all it was, a bunch of static web pages, a bunch of hyperlinks. It wasn't dynamic in any sense, and I couldn't interact with the content. There weren't any web-based applications as we know them today. So as technologies matured, we started to realize the power of the internet, and the rise of web-based applications has changed the world ever since. Companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon were able to create rich and dynamic web-based experiences. Powerful platforms now exist for each of us to create our own businesses and generate our own content. And this is where we find ourselves today. So what does any of this have to do with regulating crypto? Well, while the technological advances on the internet have been a boon for productivity and radically changed the way we consume goods and services, the companies pioneering these technologies are organized the way enterprises have always been organized, centrally. And in that sense, they don't represent any disruption to existing regulatory frameworks. Rules could be updated, modernized, and enforced the way they always have been. This is where blockchain technology creates a drastic departure from the past. Enter Web 3. The future of the internet will become increasingly decentralized, and blockchain-based initiatives will be developed by decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. DAOs are fundamentally different and don't have the structure of a legacy company, as they're not a centralized legal entity. There's no HR department, compliance unit, or accounting team like we're accustomed to. The rules governing capital formation, reporting requirements, even employment contracts no longer apply in the same way. To achieve the regulatory certainty and clarity everyone wants, rule makers will need to bootstrap an entirely new framework. This is where the hard work begins, and where industry participants are going to need to work with regulators. And on the other side, legislators and government agencies will need to actively engage and learn so that they can get this right. They have to avoid shoehorning crypto into legacy regulations that are no longer fit for purpose.
China made a strategic blunder with their hardline stance on cryptocurrencies, but it was completely on brand for the Chinese Communist Party. Command and control style governments are generally not going to be very welcoming of decentralization. It's anathema to their whole philosophy. In my view, this is akin to banning the internet. Unfortunately, their citizens are going to be cut off from the benefits. But if the US can get this right, it's going to go a long way to creating a foundation on which innovation can occur and for future economic growth and prosperity. So fingers crossed. Next time, we're going to take a closer look at just what US leaders have indicated and what might be coming next. So stay tuned.